Hello everybody and welcome back to the second shelf, and yes, as you can see, to another book haul. I decided to keep my video schedule. So in other words, not to film the video that I was supposed to film last Sunday, which was an update on my 1001 Women project, because, I can do that update next time. It's not such a big deal, and I just really like my schedule, so I decided to keep the schedule like you care. And thank you all for all your well wishes. I'm definitely doing better. I'm still not 100%, as you can probably hear from my voice, and I will try not to cough in your face, at least not extensively, but the cough is still not gone, so I might not be able to suppress it all the way through the video. But anyway, so we have a book haul again today. A neat little stack, all books practically in the same format, which doesn't happen often, but for some reason it pleases me. Anyway, the first book is Octavia Butler, Clay's Ark, published in 1984. This is the third book in the Patternist series, as you can see. And if you have been watching my videos for a while, you know that one of the projects, the loose kind of projects for this year, is that I want to read, first of all, more Octavia Butler, but also, in any case, finish the Patternist series. I read the first one. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 books, I think, in the Patternist series. Yes, I read the first book, Wild Seed, years ago. I mean, not exaggerating, like 2 or 3 years or something. And I really enjoyed it. It's kind of Afrofuturism, talking about the typical Octavia Butler topics, independence, slavery, master, slave connections, and how to deal with that, or master subservient, not necessarily slave. Anyway, but I'd never picked up the next book in the series until this year. So a couple of months ago, I read Mind of My Mind, which was actually written before Wild Seed, but is the second in the series. And in the first 2 books, there is this kind of not really pleasant spirit, Büro, who roams the world and has been roaming the world for thousands of years, trying to create this kind of master race that will be, subservient to him and serving him. And in the second book, there is this big battle between Büro and his daughter Mary, who actually is the Patternist. So this book, I don't really know from the outline how it connects with the rest, but it is, they are at least different main characters. I don't know whether Mary will still play a role here, or Büro, but there is Blake, is a doctor, and he and his twin daughters are taken captive, not called, but taken captive by armed men demanding urgent medical care. And then he is brought to a compound where there are people and they are sick with some type of virus. Maybe those are the people from the Patternist group, I don't know. But story will take off from there. So I'm very much looking forward to this one, and I'm planning on reading it in May, so hopefully that will work out. Excuse me. Then another series that I really loved, that's the Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers, and I never picked up the last book in the series, The Galaxy and the Ground Within, published, I think, 2022 or something, couple of years back for sure. 2021. And I loved the other 3 books, and I even read the To Be Taught If Fortunate, which is kind of an extra, but I never read this one. As if if you're familiar with this series, it's a loose, and yes, I lost a nail. That's what you get when you're sick. You don't even have time to go to the nail salon. Anyway, if you're familiar with Becky Chambers' series, it's not a series in the strict sense of the word, that it's one plot or one cast of characters going forward. I mean, there are overlaps in the characters, but each book is, in fact, also can be read as a standalone. It's, space opera type of stories. And this one is set on Cora, which is kind of a traffic stop, interstellar traffic stop, not much going on there on this planet. And there is this kind of, truck stop diner in space called Five Stops, I think. And then something goes wrong with the technology and 3 people are stranded there, basically. And then the story takes off from there. So, yeah, finally reading number 4 in the series. And then I will be very pleased with myself once I have completed it. I'm thinking of rereading the other 3 books, but we'll see. We'll see how this goes first. Then, you're supposed to cough in your elbow. I'm just reminded. Anyway, the next book is nonfiction and one I have already read, but wanted then to own for myself, and I'm not sure whether the author is English or I think it's an English author, but anyway, it's called Leslie Kern is the author, and it's called Feminist City. Feminist City is an ongoing experiment in living differently, living better, and living more justly in an urban world. This book was, I read it last year, I think, and it was published in 2019. And Leslie Kern explores urban development. Yes, that sounds very boring. That's why I didn't buy the book when I first saw it, but I read it on Script, or Everend, as it is now called. But it is really interesting. She explores the ways it's a city of man and not a city, for instance, for people with children or women or single women. How urban planning, for instance, how the buses run, as one example, that it is based on the typical schedule of a male urban citizen. So the typical male urban citizen, whether married with children or single, will go in the car, drive to work, or take the bus, drive to work, drive home. Whereas a parent, and most still, it's a woman's job, considered a woman's job, and done mostly by women if they are children. They have to first get the child to daycare, then on the way back from the job, they have to pick up diapers, and then they have to pick up the kid. But that's not how the urban development is structured to make that easy. And one example that really stuck with me is when it comes to winter and the roads are snowy and icy, where the priority would be, and the priority to get it unsnowed and uniced, and the priority would always be the route that your average man takes, and not the woman with the stroller who has to go on the bus. So I thought it was an aspect of patriarchy and feminist thinking that I have not read before. So yes, I wanted to have a copy for myself. The next one is also nonfiction, a collection of essays, Asadi by Arundhati Roy, Fascism, Fiction and Freedom in the Time of the Virus. Obviously, Corona, this book was published, let me check, in 2020, obviously. I came across this book because it was lauded by Sajiid. His channel name is Books Are My Social Life. He's on and off with the videos, but if you don't know his channel, it's really, he's from Trinidad, living in Trinidad. So I came across books by Trinidadian or Caribbean authors that I've never heard before. So it's really worth checking out. Anyway, he read this book a couple of months ago and really praised it. And I thought I'd give it a try because I love Arundhati Roy. When I see interviews, the speech she gave not that long ago, when she got that award, I think she's a fascinating woman and intelligent and eloquent, and I don't like her books, her novels. I tried The Ministry of Utmost Happiness, and it's not my thing. And that pains me to no end because I think she is a fascinating, intelligent person. So I thought, when I saw this book, I thought, yes, I'm going to try nonfiction by her because sometimes that works. I have the same with Salman Rushdie. Most of his novels, there are a couple of exceptions with him, but he's more, he has a bigger output than Arundhati Roy. But most of his typical fiction, like Midnight Children or The Satanic Verses, it's just not my thing. But his nonfiction I love. So I thought I'd give this a try, and it is a collection of essays centering around freedom. Asadi is the Urdu word for freedom. So maybe I will finally find something by Arundhati Roy that I love. Then the next one is for my Reading Europe project, where I try to read at least one book from every European country. And as you know, if you watch my mid-month check-in, I had picked this book for Belgium, Les Spit had smelt, which means in English, the melting. It had been translated into English. And I DNF'd it or skim read it, the rest, to know whether I was right DNFing it, because it was that kind of misery porn that I just don't think is good, at least not for me. And it was too long also. So I had to pick a different book for Belgium because I don't want to include a DNF'd book in this project. So I picked up this one, Chica Unigwe on Black Sister Street, actually written in English. Chica Unigwe was born in Nigeria and lives in Belgium, and she writes in English and Dutch or Flemish. And this is the story of three women coming from various African countries living in Antwerp in Belgium and having to work as prostitutes. So I hope that this will be, a bigger success for me than the other book I picked for Belgium. We'll see. I think the topic, there is a blurb by Ali Smith, but that does not probably say much. But the topic is interesting because for my European project, if you remember, when it comes to countries that are relatively familiar to me, so like Italy, Germany, Austria, Belgium, I have read books by authors from those countries before, obviously. It's not like Azerbaijan, which I've never read anything from, or what was the Armenia in the beginning of the alphabet. So when I have those countries that I've known authors and read authors, I try to pick something that I normally wouldn't read. That's why I picked this one, because it was lauded so much, but it didn't appeal to me, and obviously for good reason. And when I looked for another Belgian author, I thought this offers a perspective of Belgian life that I haven't read before. From a migrant perspective, in Antwerp. I know the city really well. I've been there a lot of times. So that's why, that was the reason that I picked this book. And I hope it's a better pick than the last one. Anyway, the last book, also nonfiction, a book that I have, like the Feminist City, I have already read. I think this one on Audible, and that is Andrea Wolf's Magnificent Rebels, published a couple of years back. 2022. Now, Andrea Wolf, as you can see, it's about the first romantics, but I will talk about that, winner of the Costa Social Something Award. But Andrea Wolf, I know her because I read her book about Alexander Humboldt, The Invention of Nature, a couple of years ago. She's a German author originally. I mean, her parents are German. She was born in India, but she lives in England. She moved to England when she was in her early 20s or something, and she writes in English. And the book about Humboldt, The Invention of Nature, was fantastic, really fantastic, about the life of this German explorer, his ideas about nature and how everything is connected, and how we still use his findings when it comes to climate spheres and weather. It really fabulous. This one, I really liked it, but I think it's not as gripping for everybody as The Invention of Nature, because it is about German Romanticism. So I am familiar with the people who are featured, like Hegel, Fichte, Schelling, the women involved, Caroline Schlegel, and it's all happening in this tiny town. Can you see that here in the middle of Germany, Jena, in 1790-ish, so in the last decade of the 18th century. And Goethe and Schiller, they all converge in this Jena, in this city, and are starting a movement that we now call Romanticism. And as a German, this really interests me. But first of all, if you're not interested in philosophy, don't pick up this book. And if you are not interested in those German writers and thinkers, I don't think it will grab you as much as it did me. But I thought it was magnificent, about those magnificent rebels. Anyway, I've already read it. I'm planning on rereading it at some point in the future, but yeah, I just wanted to have it on my bookshelf. Anyway, this was my April book haul, and not too much coughing going on. I will have to cough as soon as I stop filming, I can tell you. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please leave a comment. I know I'm behind with answering as usual, but I'm still very much looking forward to your comments. And I will see you all soon in the next one, next Sunday.